In my video about Silent Hill: The Short Message, I spoke briefly about Silent Hill's subtlety and how the original games present dark themes. How even when a game starts presenting the really disturbing stuff, it's after you've spent a long time immersed in the story and the gameplay. A game may start with some horrific imagery, but nothing explicitly repulsive. There's a difference between seeing a chained up corpse and, let's say, hypothetically disemboweling a 4-year-old or something. I think we can all agree that would be incredibly off-putting, especially as something thrown at you in the first 5 minutes in a game series that used to treat sensitive topics with nuance and artistry. And in that video, I mentioned my extreme dislike of Silent Hill Downpour's opening sequence. I called it revolting, and I find it far worse than any of the other off-putting moments in the rest of the Western-made sequels. I got a good amount of pushback on that. People didn't understand why I hate this opening so much, so let's get into it. In Silent Hill Downpour's intro, Murphy Pendleton, you, the player, is escorted from his cell by a guard through a slow walking sequence, and apparently some kind of deal has been made.
Alright, Murphy, it's all set. Make it quick, huh?
He's all yours now. Make it quick, Cupcake.
Hey, almost forgot. I left you a little present on the bench.
Over the intercom, you hear the guard tell you that steam from the showers tends to fog up the cameras, hint hint. You pick up a weapon left for you by the guard, and then a man wearing a towel comes in.
What the hell's going on? Where's Sewell? There's been a mistake. I'm a sequestered prisoner. You're not supposed to be here. Guards? Officer Sewell, hello?
You don't recognize me, do you?
What? No, Guards! Anybody?
We used to be neighbors.
Before continuing, let's go over everything we've learned up until this point. You're playing as a prisoner, a guard has set you up to murder another prisoner in the shower, this man is a sequestered prisoner so he's protected, he was expecting to meet the guard in here, and you remind him you used to be neighbors, and then he tries to escape and cries for help. We don't know who he is, why he's in prison, why he's sequestered, who your character is, why he's here, why he wants to kill this man, how they know each other, why the guard is setting this up. We know essentially nothing. And yet the game is asking us, as our very first action, just 3 minutes into the game, to murder this man while he screams and begs for his life. This moment could have worked if it were a cutscene. We see Murphy kill the man and we're left wondering why, and we realize that we are essentially playing as a murderer, and we want to find out why he did that. But no, the game makes us, the player, perform this violent action, making us brutally murder someone that we don't even know. It's already a very explicit, off-putting, tasteless way to start any video game, not just a Silent Hill, telling you to violently kill a helpless stranger. But it's made much worse by how goofy and video gamey the whole thing is treated by also using it as a combat tutorial. It would be one thing if you were just triggering cutscenes or even QTEs, as crappy as that would be, but here we have press square to slash away at this screaming man. Oh, your weapon broke? Go find another weapon so you can keep trying to kill him. But that's not enough. Press square to beat him with your fists. He crawls away, clinging to life, and his final word is why.
You know exactly why.
At least there's no press square to perform a brutal execution. I'm genuinely shocked they didn't include that. This entire sequence is disgusting. It's completely mishandled by turning it into a tutorial prompt combat training moment, and the game is forcing you, as your first action, to do this drawn-out, minute-long mutilation of someone who is a stranger to you because you have no context for what's going on. I feel crazy having to explain why I find this offensive and sick, but I want to ask, what is the player supposed to be feeling when they do this? Is it excitement? Then it's perverse. Is it disgust? Then you're turning me off to the game entirely. So I've laid out why I hate this opening, but the pushback I've gotten all revolves around the context you don't have when it happens. This man's name is Patrick Napier, and later it's learned that he's guilty of the murder of Murphy's son, Charlie. Murphy stole a police car to get put in prison and get close to Napier in order to kill him, and he made a deal with Officer Sewell that would lead to him having to kill a guard that Sewell wants dead at the prison, in exchange for the opportunity to get revenge against Napier in the shower. Now, we're gonna set the contradictions of the endings aside with the fact that one of them has Murphy responsible for his own son's death instead of Napier, meaning we either killed an innocent man in the intro or we killed someone who doesn't even exist. We're gonna set it aside because it doesn't really matter. This scene still happened at the beginning of the game, regardless of it being real or not. The general idea of this story is supposed to be that Murphy did this to Napier because of his son's murder, and that's why this opening scene is happening. And the comments I get can be summed up as, "Why are you disgusted by having to kill Napier? He's a killer and a I was even accused of defending Napier by stating I was offended by this scene. But the people who think I'm wrong to find this disgusting because of who Napier is have completely missed the point that part of my issue is that you don't know who he is when you're forced to murder him. For all we know, Murphy is a mobster and he's killing someone who's been falsely imprisoned because he's taking the fall for the boss's crime. Maybe he's going to be a state witness against the boss and that's why he's a protected prisoner. We have no idea. It's been more than 10 years since I played Downpour, but I clearly remember my reaction to this scene. As soon as it started, I said, "What? Why? I don't want to kill this man. Why would I kill him? Why are you making me do this?" They could have simply added a line like, "You're gonna get what you deserve for what you did to my son." That still leaves some mystery, some details of the case to be uncovered later, but at least it gives us a reason to possibly be okay with what the game is making us do. My issue isn't that Murphy killed Napier for what he did. My issue is that you're killing a man with no known reason in the first 3 minutes of the game. It's made to be extra gross and indulgent by drawing it out and having him scream and cry and beg for mercy. And they turn the whole thing into a goofy combat tutorial with button prompts. Finding out who Napier was later doesn't retroactively make this moment less revolting to experience the first time. If a game comes out and it starts with a sequence of you stabbing a kid while he's crying and begging for mercy, ripping his eyes out and strangling him to death, and actually pressing the buttons to make this happen with no choice not to do it, wouldn't you have a problem with that? Would it suddenly be okay for the game to have forced you to commit such an immoral and vile act at the beginning if at the end it was revealed that this child was actually a demon pretending to be a child? This isn't a movie where we are watching someone do something that appears to be horrible and later it's revealed to be justified. This is a video game. We are being told to commit this act with no reason for it, against all disgust it inspires, despite a total stranger desperately pleading for his life. It's fucking gross, and it's not about hating Downpour. I do hate Downpour, but before it came out I was excited for it. I played it with no expectation of it being bad, and this scene was immediately upsetting regardless. And I don't think you have to be a Downpour hater like me to be appalled by this intro. You can love the rest of the game, you can find the story interesting, the monsters scary, the combat engaging, and the ghost cop cars terrifying. And you can still admit that this opening was a mistake. Also, just in case anyone is curious, no, learning that in some endings you didn't actually kill him does not change my disgust at the fact that I was forced to stab him and beat him repeatedly. So that's my opinion on the opening of Silent Hill Downpour. It's not a game I ever want to do a full video on. Anything I could say has already been said. But in all the videos on Downpour that I've seen, no one has ever shown this intro for the offensive display of excess that it is. Thanks for watching. Let's move on to happier topics, shall we?